We'd like to start out by thanking our valuable sponsors. Sense of Satisfaction by Cricket is the place for all your fragrance needs. Plus, she's got products to heal what ails your skin and your hair. Shop at scentsbycricket.com. Special thanks to our valued sponsor, John Travis, a financial coach and certified Kingdom advisor with Richard Young Associates, a registered investment advisor. Thanks goes to Anna Patterson, my sister in the Lord who faithfully gives to this ministry every month. And to our newest sponsor, LaToya Gerard of Preach the Word Worldwide Network. She is a valued sponsor and a major encourager regarding this ministry. We need and would love to have you as a sponsor. Absolutely no gift is too small. Please note the info regarding giving throughout and at the end of the show, and help us spread these testimonies around the world. Please note that the views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily the viewpoints of our sponsors. It's time to hear the story, make the connection, learn the lesson, and gain the wisdom. Are you ready? Let's get charged and be changed. The Sister Speak Brother Break Show. Conversations on grace, healing, and deliverance. This is Marcy Bush. Come on, let's journey together.
A lot of times when you're going through things in your life, you try to shield it from your family. Mm-hmm. And you tend to share it more so with their family.
So she became your soft place.
She became that. And I used to say, I don't know if I could deal with this. Mm-hmm. And she would encourage me, you could do this. Mm-hmm. And she would always remind me of how much she was praying for me.
Okay. That's special.
That was very...
Especially when a lot of people have mother-in-law, horror stories.
I will tell anyone, she passed away I think 2-3 years ago. I will tell anyone, I loved her until she left this earth. Mm-hmm. Because I knew, especially when I was going through the roughest period, I felt like in my life, mm-hmm. she was the person that kept me sane.
She picked up where Daddy left off.
She did.
It was a gap.
It was a gap.
But God kept you.
He did.
Till he got you there.
He did.
Wow.
He did. Mm. And I credit her for my relationship with God. Mm. Because, I was baptized at 9 and went to church all the time, Baptist church, everything, but didn't really have that relationship until I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. And she was one of the main reasons that I drew closer to God.
What do you remember how it started with you kind of taken to her?
She was by nature just one of the sweetest people that I've ever met in my life. And like I said, when you're in a relationship, you tend to shield your family, mm-hmm. but share a lot. But she was my confidant. Mm-hmm. And so she made me know without a shadow of a doubt that there was nothing. She never judged me for anything. She was just my constant.
And that's big, especially when, like you said, at first out of wedlock, mm-hmm. but still, and you came with a child, mm-hmm. but none of that mattering.
None.
That she wasn't saying what you were doing, but she was telling you who you were.
Right. And when I say I could not have married into, as far as in-laws are concerned, a better family.
That's good.
When I say my child that I came with, mm-hmm. never felt mm-hmm. any type of difference, he still and they still love him like,
Right.
it's not blood, it's love.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of times people say blood is thicker than water. It's really love. Because that's what makes you okay.
Right.
Because
Right.
you could be a part of a family and not feel that that family loves you,
Yes.
or that they support you,
Right.
or that they have your
Right.
back. But when you know someone has, and I knew that from her.
So it's even that, like we said, we when we're in it, we don't always see it, we don't always understand it. But even that, what would have felt like isolation, or felt like maybe I don't want to say disconnection, but just like some kinks in the line, was bumping you
Yep.
where you needed to be
Yep.
to get that relationship
Yep.
really going with God.
Yep. Yep.
It goes back
I
to,
wouldn't have.
for we know
Yes.
that all
Things. That's one of my favorite scriptures. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't always known it,
Right. Right.
but now I know
Yeah.
that it was all working
Yeah.
for my good.
Yes.
Because when you in it, like, it doesn't feel good, and most of the time doesn't even look good.
Right. Right. And that's what can mess us up a lot too.
Yeah.
Is what it look like.
Yeah. Yeah.
What it looks like, because you don't want to look,
Yeah.
this way to everybody else, and so it makes it even that much worse a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because of what we're thinking people are thinking
Right.
when we don't know.
Don't.
But when we, like you said, if we can ever just realize, but it's working for me.
Yeah.
And I thank God that now where we are, we have to remind ourselves of that. There was a time when, I know for me, there wasn't a whole lot of reminding myself. Even if I said it, I said it because I had heard it before. Mm-hmm. But I can't say that I was convicted by that I believed that in my heart,
Yeah.
that all things work together for good.
Yeah.
To those that
It's
love the
not
Lord.
until it's proven
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not. When those words come off that paper and written in here,
Yes.
no one can tell you any different.
Nobody.
No one.
Nobody.
During that time, never, like I said, it didn't feel good at all. What I thought my direction my life was going to go, now I'm married, now I'm going to raise these kids, now in this beautiful home, now. And then when it all started to fall apart.
We would want it to be our family. We would want, but I guess, and I'm just, as I'm talking now, realizing but you had to be open to it.
Yeah.
Because there are people who try
Yeah.
to reassure, who try to help, but not everybody's open to that.
But, and also, Marcy, I think a lot of times, like, you remind me of my mother-in-law. Because I think it's almost an assignment. My kids have been assigned for you to pray for. I was assigned for my mother-in-law.
Yes.
So, yeah. Whew.
Because I'm telling you, it's so many times that people will try to encourage, and it's rejected. It's, because the pain is so great that they don't want to take a chance, or they've built up anger, or just fear, whatever.
Right.
That causes people not to receive.
Yeah.
So the fact that you were able to receive the love, the godness that was coming out of her.
Yeah.
Because that was God. Like I said, every time I'm thinking, it sounds like, just like I said, what you said your dad was.
Yes.
And not that people don't want to. Sometimes people just don't know how to.
Yeah.
And then here we go, 9 up to whatever age this is. It sustained you. God has sustained you.
Yeah.
And then he puts this person here who's pouring again.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
So you said you found yourself down a path like that wasn't how you had envisioned your life.
Right.
You were there, well taken care of, financially provided for, which I'm sure was very different from, what you said you grew up
Oh,
as.
yes. Definitely.
Totally different life. And now you're out at the site.
Yeah.
You got 3 young'uns.
Yep.
But then things start to happen.
Yeah. And it was so ironic that it seems like things at the site were going so well and things at home was falling apart.
Okay.
Because at the site, I think I was at the site for 2 years, and then they promoted me to a first line manager.
Okay.
But then at home, it's almost like some of what was happening at the site was affecting the home life.
Okay, gotcha.
Because when you're not on the same accord, sometimes people are threatened.
Right.
They may not know they're threatened by who you are, but sometimes they're threatened by who you are. So they feel like they need to bring you down.
Right. Because everybody's coming in. Of course, I've never been married. But even just relationships, period. Everybody's coming in with their personal data, their personal issues, their everything. And while it's rocking, we rocking.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it gets rocky.
It gets rocky. And you also don't know. It's perfect that you'd say that, because sometimes you don't know what they've been through that has shaped their thinking.
Right. And a lot of times what we push to the back.
Yeah.
Because like you said, even things that maybe you went through as a child, as a teenager, well, I'm grown now, and you just move it.
Yeah.
It's not that we process through it.
Right.
It's not that we heal from it. We just move it.
We do to keep surviving.
It's only when something starts stirring.
Yeah.
That stuff comes up that we thought, we had a handle on, or that we didn't even recognize.
Right. Because we've never been challenged in that area.
Right.
It's like exercising. Until you exercise that muscle, you never really paid attention to how big of an impact it can be.
Yes.
So you never been challenged to have to trust somebody like that.
Right. And in this moment, one of the things that comes to me is how, and I think we may have just brushed over it before we started recording, but how sometimes what is affecting you or going on with you really has nothing to do with you, but you get what comes off of it. Like I said, with me growing up with my sisters and brothers, there were things which in recent years I've asked God about, and He'll tell me, it had nothing to do with you. I mean, it did, but it didn't.
Yeah.
You called it because you asked the question. You called it because you were the closest person at that time.
That's right.
But all in all, it was really like the devil was doing a 2-for-1.
That's right. But it felt personal to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you
and
it
were
getting
affects you
abundant.
personally.
Right. Exactly. So I was dealing with a whole lot of having success here, but having my home life falling apart. And having the success of the job affecting the home life.
So how did you manage success and failure in the same basket?
It's funny how I felt like I masked it. I put on a mask every day to go to work. I've always been the type of person that, and then it was, I know now it was just the strength of God. Like you said, I had to put it, so I could keep moving. I had to just deal with it. And so I knew I have a job to do. And then I got a home life.
Right.
So it was almost like I was being two different people.
Right. Okay.
I was coming here and instructing people and guiding people and making things happen here, and then coming here and feeling like I'm a failure. How could this happen? What and questioning, what did I do?
Right. Right.
Because like I said earlier, never been a person that liked confrontation or anything like that. So trying to appease, trying to, maybe if I do this, this will get better. Let me try this,
Right.
trying to fix it.
Right.
But I tell people, and one of the things I tell, especially my kids, is keep in mind that even though, people say in the two become one, you still are two different individuals. Like you said, coming from two separate backgrounds.
Right.
And then you're trying to coexist.
Yep. Two different realities.
And if there's not compromise, and if you don't take the time to say, okay, we need to do this to make this better or whatever, then you're going to have some issues.
Right. Right. Thinking about it, even as you were doing that, it's like I saw this cord, and you have these different pieces of rope, but they got to come together. They got to agree in order for that thing to be smooth.
Yeah.
And I was hearing braided, but I'm like, that's a twist. But that's the problem when it's a twist and not a braid.
Right.
Because God is supposed to be that third strand.
Right. Exactly.
Actually, the first strand, pulling them together,
Right. Exactly.
And so, like you said, even though you have these pieces, you could just have a jumbled mess.
You can.
If so, during that time, because it was also when you were talking about feeling one way at work, like moving it. It's almost like I saw, the stacks. People wear the shoes. The stacks. It's almost like must be on your ride to work or something. You would take all that and put it up under you and stack. And at work, we're rising higher. We keep it going. I'm going with my head held high, you know?
Exactly.
And then like that ride home, like you taking them off, putting on flats.
Yeah. That's a good analogy, because I always tell people, because going to fast forward a little bit, when people found out I was getting divorced and whatever, they was like, oh, I thought that you guys were okay, and I never knew. And I said, well, why would you know?
Right. Right.
I never believe in mistreating anyone. You had nothing to do with that. That's a totally, God gave me that ability to be able to separate that.
Yes. And this feels like an interjection, because I know we're talking about, the first marriage and all that. And I know you talked about how your mother-in-law influenced your relationship with God. And then I know even more recently, I heard Bishop say how you were really like connected to Laura and his sister and all them in the beginning. So tell me about your come to Jesus experience. Like, how did you really encounter God? And we'll get back to...
but it all ties together.
Okay.
Because even though, like I said, I was having success here, facing failure here, and this is where my heart at now. This is just what I do.
Right.
So this affects, me being able to be a good mama, a good wife, blah, blah, blah. So I'm dealing with what's happening, why is it happening, and then this escalated. It got even worse.
Okay.
It became abusive.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, I really feel isolated now. Because with that, shame.
Right.
You don't want anybody to know what you're going through.
Right.
So when you go out, you put the smile on. But when you come back, you know what you're facing. Yes. So in this was part of when my mother-in-law really became very important to me.
Okay.
Because I would go tell her, I can't do this. I cannot do this anymore. It's too hard for me. And she would encourage me. You can do this. God got you. So one day I'm home. Okay, God, if you got me, I need to know you got me.
Right.
Because this thing right here feels like it's going to take me out. And if he didn't intervene, I really believed that was going to happen.
Okay.
I really believed that was going to happen. Because there was physical abuse, there was mental abuse, and at the same time, you're still trying to be a mother.
Right.
You're still trying to do the things you do. You're still trying to go to work. So, and then, you know, the devil's playing, you're doing something. It's your fault.
Right.
You're doing something to bring this on. So you start to, okay, what can I give up? What can I do to make it better?
Right.
And eventually you're in a box and you don't know how to get out. So in my home by myself, cried out to my God and he answered me. He answered me.
How did he answer?
I'll never forget. I was watching Rod Parsley on the TV. Fell down on my knees in front of a TV. And said, God, I got to give this to you. Because it's too heavy for me. It's too heavy for me. Because all the isolation, all the being alone. Still, this was a different monster.
Right.
This was a different monster to me. So, I felt with the prayers of my mother-in-law, and then I just started to feel God's strength. And then I stumbled into Shining Star Ministries. And Bishop started speaking into my life. And that changed my life. That changed my life. I began to see that all these things were happening for a reason.
Okay.
Because before I didn't see it, like you said, when you're in the midst of all that hurt, all that pain, you can't process it. It is. You cannot see clearly. You cannot.
Do you remember what year it was that you went? You started?
I thought I remember. I think it's 90s. It was in the 90s. I can't remember exactly. Like I said, how I got to the ministry, I ran into Laura Ann at the grocery store one day. And she was telling me about, she was doing they were doing the Feed a Kid and the things up there at the house church. Because that's when I started coming to the church, when it was on 278 at the house. And I started letting my kids go there, you know. And every time I come to pick them up,
it was Feed a Kid,
I thought it was
Feed a Mom.
It was Feed a Me. And she would invite me every time I pick them up and encourage me and just, we have service here. Let me know when, okay, I'm going to come, you know, that kind of thing. And eventually I did. Best thing that ever happened to me. So, yeah.
Lord. Okay. So, you start eating spiritually.
Yes, eating spiritually. And when you start to eat spiritually, you start to begin to know who God made you to be. And as I started to do this, I started to, you know, God, I know this is not your desire for my life.
Right.
I know that you have better for me. So my life started to change. And I started to see the value in me and what I really had to offer
Yes.
this world. Because I always felt that I need to encourage someone. And it was so crazy. At the worst time, and I used to say, God got a sense of humor. At the worst time, when I was going through the worst part of my marriage falling apart, he brings someone into my life and I'm encouraging their marriage. And their marriage got better. And mine didn't.
But you did.
But I did.
Thank God for that.
Thank God I did.
But God will use whatever he want to use, whenever he want to use it.
He will.
And to be honest, that's probably some of what sustained you, was ministering to someone else.
Yes.
And not doing it from a bitter place.
Yes.
Not doing it from, you know, you ministering probably built you up.
It
lifted
did.
You up.
It did. And let me tell you something else. It was so, at the time too, I was teaching the Bible study to the kids. And I'll never forget, one time I was teaching and I was talking to them about, don't allow people to speak things over you. Don't allow people to call you all kinds of things. And I said, how can you teach this to them? And you allowing it yourself.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you've been blessed by today's show, feel free to let us know. And if you'd like to sow into this ministry, become a sponsor, or contact us, you can reach us at 803-221-0169. Or you can email us at the ssbbshow@gmail.com. Let's continue this journey together. We need and would love to have you as a sponsor. Absolutely no gift is too small. Please note the info regarding giving and help us spread these testimonies around the world.